In New York, Jamie Benn, overtime winner. Dallas Stars make it 5 in a row. A come-from-behind victory for the Stars in the Big Apple. We'll break it all down next.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. That is the most fired up I have been all season long for a Dallas Stars victory. I jumped out of my chair when Jamie Benn deflected that pass home in overtime from Jason Robertson to complete the comeback for a 5-4 victory over the New York Rangers at Madison Square Garden. We're going to break it all down on a Wednesday edition of Locked On Stars, including an Ilya Lybushkin injury. Dallas lost their defenseman in the second period. We'll have the latest update on him. We'll also talk about Jake Oettinger, since he is a part of this conversation as well after a really poor first period. Not all on Jake Oettinger, but not all on the Stars as well, who I thought played actually a pretty good opening period despite the score. And we'll get into all of it here on today's episode of Locked On Stars. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, drop a comment below about how you felt throughout that one last night. An absolute roller coaster of emotions. But again, shout out to some of the best players for Dallas who had to front the load last night to get the Stars back within reach in this one. Duchesne and Robertson, Rope Behance, Wyatt Johnston, Jamie Benn, the level of play they had to have last night in order to get Dallas back in the game was huge. And credit for the Stars' best players for showing up again. Dallas desperately needed that. And it feels like such a massive win. Really the biggest of the season, in my opinion. Coming back from 3-0 and giving up a power play goal late in the third period, then you strike back to get the game to overtime. I would have been happy with a point. I would have come on here despite an overtime loss and say it's a good point earned from where they started in the contest. But boy, is this a momentum booster. This is something that can spur you on. And I talked about it on yesterday's episode. Can you make this road trip a jumping off point? Can it be a launch for you in the second half of the season? It's a massive win. It really is. And I thought Dallas played a really solid first period, and they had possession. I mean, it seemed like they tilted the ice for the most part, and every chance New York had ended up finding the back of the net. I don't think Dallas defended the first goal from New York very well. Lundqvist was kind of in no man's land. Stars weren't back pressuring either, so Lafreniere had a chance to just snipe Oettinger. And then the second one was just all chaos, and Dallas had so many looks and somehow couldn't be quick. And you're thinking, here we go again. Another Rangers netminder is going to steal the show. And it looked like that for, the first 10 to 12 minutes of the first period. But then the Stars started to chip away. And credit to them, because they haven't won many games coming from behind this season. And they continued to push, and they started to play more consistent in the first two periods, where they weren't reeling and they weren't struggling to make plays. They had their looks. They just weren't completing or executing them. And they just continued to push, and Duchesne gets a fortunate bounce off the Rangers defender to make it 3-1. And the goal by Dadonov on the power play, which goes 2 for 2 tonight, by the way. Power play was huge. And we talked about it all season long. Special teams can be such a huge difference maker. And maybe Dallas didn't deserve to win the game, although I think they did. I thought they were the better team. And to be honest, I thought the New York 3-0 lead was kind of fluky. I never thought that the Rangers were pushing or really tilting the ice in their favor, despite, I would say, the opening 10 to 15 minutes of the third period was the biggest push in the contest, where Dallas was on their heels. But you expect that to some degree because Dallas had to come back from behind by 3 goals. Like, that's a lot of injury, or that's a lot of energy that was needed to even get themselves back in the contest, because they had to open up a bit more. They were taking chances, but they weren't taking chances and sacrificing their end of the ice. They did a lot of strong defending in front of Otter, especially in that second period. They were all over New York, and Robertson's goal was so pretty on the backhand, and he was excellent tonight. Jason Robertson was so freaking good, and it's so nice to see. It's a sight for sore eyes. He's got double digits on the year, and that's just a robo goal that we've seen. And he was physical. He was engaged in all 3 zones. He had some juice, and the way he just stayed on the loose puck and was able to just kind of curl and fire it all in one motion, like such a Jason Robertson goal, right? That is a Jason Robertson we have been accustomed to seeing and loving around here in Dallas. He was fantastic in the game. I thought the Johnston line was so strong. Again, that trio continues to do a lot of damage. You look at that trio, they had 15 shots on goal at 5-on-5. The Robertson line ended up with a Corsi 4 of 20 versus 7. The Johnston line had 9 shots on goal. I was looking at the Corsi 4 there. But Rope at 5-on-5, 10 shots. Steel line with 10 shots. They were fantastic too. This was such a strong game from all 4 lines. They all build off each other. The Steel line, which created, really Sam Steele himself created the tying goal in the third after the Stars went down 4-3. Steele creates the turnover on Keandre Miller, who has had a rough go of it in New York. And Steele was able to shed him just enough to find Harley. Such a great feed. And Harley, who had so many looks in the contest, just goes short side shelf on Quick to tie the game. And it was massive. And as I said, one of the more thrilling wins of the season, personally, watching the Dallas Stars. I've been pretty chill for most of the games I've watched this season because I feel like I've been just numb to some of the results. I wanted this one. I wanted it for Dallas a lot, and I catapulted out of the chair tonight when Benn scored, because the power play was not going very well in overtime. It was not going well at all for the most part. And with 12 seconds left, I think, on the minor penalty, Jason Robertson just whips it. It's such a good pass. Wasted no time. He gets it from Harley, throws it in front, and credit to Dallas. A few of their goals, both the power play goals, in front of the blue paint. Dadonov first after the shot from Bork. Bork was brilliant. I'd have to look at how many shots he had. He should have had a couple tonight. He ended up with 4 shots on goal in the game. He ends up with an assist on the Dadonov goal. He puts it on net. Dadonov cleans up the rebound in front, and the power play goal, same thing, right? Jamie Benn, post up, win your battle against their defenseman. It's a 4-on-3, should have numbers at the net. Jamie Benn slides it through Quick, and a huge goal for the captain, who, look, has been excellent the last week and a half. Number 14, the captain, has been brilliant for the Stars, and good for him on getting the game-winning goal. He receives the first star of the game. The shooting star pick, for you wonderful fans, goes to Jamie Benn. Robertson gets an honorable mention, but it was such a solid game. Despite the 1 point for Jamie Benn, he probably deserved more, as a lot of Stars did. Hence, Dadonov, Robertson, 14 scoring chances in the game. And Dallas was the better team, I thought, for large chunks of it. Outside of the first 10 minutes of the third period, 10, 15 minutes, I thought Dallas was the better team for most of the game. They were all over New York on the forecheck. They were making plays. They were skating well. I thought they created a lot of havoc in New York's zone. And the third period, I said it on X. It's just a bizarre third, like the most bizarre 3-0 lead New York had, and most bizarre deficit for Dallas, because you're just sitting there thinking they haven't played that bad. And some of the conversation comes back to Otter, and we'll touch on that a bit, but Dallas didn't particularly defend a few of those goals that well, in my opinion. I had more of an issue with the power play goal by Trocheck in the third, where I feel like Otter could have had a much better effort on that chance that was shot by Zibanejad. But it's a massive win. You extend your win streak to 5 games. You now have points in 7 straight. The power play goes 2 for 2. It could be a catapult for the Stars, and it's such a big way to start off the road trip. You take 2 points on the road after erasing a 3-0 deficit. They could have just checked up and got hammered. They really could. They could have got checked up and got hammered, and we're having a much different conversation. But credit to them for battling back. We haven't seen that a ton out of Dallas, and they got it done, and deservedly so. Strong. I mean, all 4 lines. Harley and Miro were brilliant in the game, and they had to play a lot because Lybushkin was lost early. I thought Miro looked really tired towards the end of the game. They probably should have started Harley on the power play. Just 4 was I feel like huffing and puffing out there. It was hard for him to make plays, but they got it done. What a night from Harley too. He ends up with 3 points. I believe Robertson gets 2. Harley got 3. Yeah, goal and 2 assists. Just so many unsung heroes on Dallas that we can't forget to Dadonov, a point and assist tonight. Blackwell, Steele, Huru, Oscar Beck, right? The bottom 6 was brilliant. Bottom 6 was so brilliant. And outside of the one line for New York, which just was giving the Stars fits, they were pretty solid against the rest. That line for New York, a Panarin, Trocheck, I can't recall who else was on it. Lafreniere, excuse me. Of course, he had the 2 goals in the game. Dallas was pretty good. So massive win for Dallas. They do lose Ilya Lybushkin. However, after he took a hit in that second period, we'll have an update on him here in just a moment, and hopefully it's not too severe, although Stars do have some backup down in Cedar Park. We'll get into that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need to live bet, same game parlays, and so much more. So many different options for you to get in on the win with FanDuel. You can vote, or bet, I should say, on who's going to score the first touchdown, who's going to win the game, the over, under. That is what FanDuel has for you. You can visit the betting lines on FanDuel.com, take a look, join today, and win $200 in bonus bets, win or lose, when you play that first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. $200 in bonus bets. FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Ilya Lybushkin took a hit from Sam Carrick early in the second period and did not return to the rest of the game. He was doubtful to return and was listed with an upper body injury. So the Stars D-corps takes another blow, which is really unfortunate and was also why I thought Dallas really had to pull up the bootstraps to get a W here tonight, just playing with 5 D-man. But obviously Lybushkin is a big loss, no matter how long it could possibly be. He's been such a staple on the PK for Dallas, which has been the most consistent area of their game this season. You do have Lybushkin, or excuse me, you do have Lian Bichsel awaiting in the wings, possibly, if you need to bring him up. And of course, I'm getting ahead of myself, but you do have that. You also have Petrovich if Dallas doesn't want to bring up Bichsel, if you need somebody for a spot start. Smith, though, could get an opportunity here on this road trip because he's on the team, or not he's on the team, he's on the trip, I should say, which isn't a surprise, but here's where I'm going with this. You don't have to send somebody from Cedar Park here on the road trip unless you really feel like you need to add an extra body. Smith is your 7th defenseman, and he can plug in for you, possibly, because Dumba is still healthy too. He was a healthy scratch tonight. So you still have 6 defensemen, 6 suitable defensemen. Is it the best combination? Is it the best personnel? No, not by any stretch, but it does give an opportunity for Smith and Dumba to play here over the next 4 or 5 games on the road. I'm curious if Dallas feels the need to actually bring up somebody like Petrovich or Bichsel. I feel like they may lean towards Petrovich just because of the road trip, and he's a veteran that can just kind of step in and give you solid minutes. But I have no real inclination on who it might be. Of course, Bichsel's a left shot, so maybe they want to air for that possibly. I'm curious. Of course, Petrovich is a right shot, and you are losing a right shot in Lybushkin. So if you bring up Petrovich, you could sort of make it a righty-lefty pairing with Smith still, and Dumba, who's a right shot as well. So you could work out some pairings that way. Anyways, Dallas has some decisions to make. I'm still waiting on some more info, possibly from head coach Pete DeBoer after this one. We may not hear much. They may have to reevaluate. But obviously it stinks. I mean, Dallas is already a pretty thin D-corps, and that certainly doesn't help. He got crunched though in the corner in that second period. He took a pretty good shot from Carrick as he was retreating back. So hopefully it's not something too serious. Could be a shoulder, who knows? But it is listed as an upper body injury for Lybushkin, and he did not return to the game. He took, I want to say, maybe 1 shift. It could have been 2 shifts in that second period, and we never saw him after the hit. So there you go. But Stars could certainly go to Smith and Dumba, who haven't played that consistently recently. Of course, Dumba just came back from injury, and Smith was a healthy scratch. This was his first game since December 18th, and I thought he was okay, right? I thought he was okay for the most part. I thought Lundell and Lundqvist had a hard time on a few shifts, but again, I thought every pairing had a rough show against that Panarin line. It was just kind of hold on for dear life when that line was out there. But other than that, outside of a few shifts, I thought Lundqvist was actually really strong in the game. Him and Lindell both. Miro and Harley together today, they had some really good juice early. The pair of them, I mean, Miro should have scored. I don't know how he missed a wide open net in that first period. Of course, Harley gets 3 points. Miro had 4 shots on goal. Harley had 6. I mean, that's 10 shots combined from your 2 best defensemen. And when Miro was on the ice, Miro and Heiskanen, 17 shots for when those 2 were on the ice. Against Miro suffered 6, Harley 8 at 5-on-5. They were so strong, and Harley's so damn good at jumping up in the rush and making things happen. And had such a brilliant night. And I thought Dallas did excellent, just, having to go down a man. And Miro played over 28 minutes. And as I said, I thought he looked just really tired. Lindell crept over 25 and a half. And Harley played a lot too. He almost hit 24 and a half. They needed some of their guys to play a lot. Brendan Smith ended up playing 13:43 in the game. And that was the lowest mark, besides Lybushkin, of course, who played just over 6.5 with having to leave in that second period. Miro and Harley ended up with great game scores. 2.42 for Harls, 2.24 for Miro. Just excellent stuff. 10 shots on goal. They ended up with a combined 6 blocks too. So they were good in all 3 zones. The way Miro makes plays, and yes, people give him flack for the offense. He had half dozen just massive plays in his own zone, breaking up cycles, breaking up plays just because of his stick. It's like an appendage, and just uses that long reach and just knifes it away. And Harley the same, right? Just strong play from the Dallas back end, but just Lybushkin's a massive miss. He really is. I don't want to understate it, because now if you do have to rely on Harley or Smith and Dumba now, just asking a lot out of those 2. And now you're looking at a stretch, depending on the severity of Lybushkin's injury, where Harley and Miro and Lindell are really going to be relied on to play a lot, as if they're not playing enough. There is no updates on Ilya Lybushkin, so that is our latest update, that there is no update from Pete DeBoer. So we may find out some more on Wednesday or Thursday before their game against, who is it? Philly, I believe. Can't even keep up with their schedule. Massive win for Dallas. It's just massive stuff from the Dallas Stars. Feels like the best and biggest win of the year for Dallas, as they take this one 5-4. Had to come from behind. They trailed by 3 at one point, and they get the job done. Jamie Benn, the overtime winner in the Big Apple. Let's wrap up our conversation of this one with some Otter talk, since he's been a topic, especially after that first period. We'll do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Game Time. I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, or comedy. One of my favorite memories of this last summer was going to a concert. The energy, the excitement was so fun. Game Time makes it so much easier to get your tickets for those favorite events, like I did over the summer with a new feature called Game Time Picks. The filter filters out all the fluff. That's what the filter does. It filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. You want to go to an NFL playoff game, not in DFW, because the Dallas Cowboys are not in the playoffs, but you want to go to possibly the Cotton Bowl with the big semi-playoff coming up. You can go to that for college football, concerts, a Stars game, you name it, they have it on Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNHL. That's Locked On NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it starts, fans? It is game time. Jake Oettinger surrendered 4 goals on 25 shots against the Rangers here this evening. The expected goals against at 5-on-5 for New York was 1.95. It was 2.45 in all situations. They did score a power play goal in the game. And look, I know there was some conversation after the first few goals given up by Dallas in this one. And yeah, was Otter not great on the first 3 he faced? Yeah, the first one from Lafreniere, Lundqvist was just reaching. I don't think he didn't help out Otter very much. Thought he could have done a much better job of trying to get a stick on the puck. Lafreniere, a good shooter from the top of the circle. It was a snipe, but of course you would like to have the save. The breakaway goal, that's just a complete breakdown by Dallas. I want to say that was Lybushkin on the ice during that one that the Stars got lost on. I had to look at the goal visualizer, which is pretty sick. Yeah, it was Lybushkin. So Brendan Smith got caught in deep, and Lybushkin did not read it and should have stayed out higher because Brendan Smith threw it on net when he had the puck in the offensive zone, didn't get back quick enough, but Lybushkin didn't read it and should have been back to Mark Lafreniere, who just snuck behind Lybushkin, and Panarin put it right on his tape. And look, it's a breakaway goal. I don't know how you want to put that on Otter. Yeah, would you like him to make a big save? Did he need to make a save here and there? Yes. I'll say this: he looks small. I don't know what it is. I feel like he looks scrunched up on that second goal in particular, and it was tipped by Trocheck, so maybe there wasn't much he could have done, but he looks really scrunched up. I don't know if I'm off my rocker on this one. And even the Trocheck goal on the power play in the third period, he was just he looked small as he was trying to come out to sort of challenge Trocheck at the top of his crease, and it ends up going off Trocheck, then off his body and in. He kind of got spun around. He looks like he's really tight, and all of his padding, or I guess his body, just feels like it's like really inside his torso. I'm explaining this absolutely horribly, but I feel like you get the point. He just doesn't look massive in net, and a few of those pucks just went off of him. Like he got a piece of it, but he looks so tight that it's bouncing on and off of him and into the net. Like the one on the power play was one I feel like he could have handled better. I would have liked Miro to try to move Trocheck out of the way in front, but it wasn't like a very harmless wrist shot for the most part. And I assume Miro doesn't want to screen Otter trying to move Trocheck out of the way, so he just lets Otter see the shot, but he didn't challenge very well. And again, just looking small. And I felt like even on the snipe, like there's a picture of it on X you can find from Robert Tiffin, and maybe it went off the stick of Lundqvist, but he just looked a little bit scrunched in, and maybe that's how he always looks. But it was just something that I kind of picked up on today. But again, I don't put a ton of blame on him in the third period. Look, I could come on here and blame Otter for every goal under the sun. I don't see the need for it. I really don't. And again, I know I'm probably biased on this. I like Otter probably too much. And I'll let you guys ham it out in the comments. I just feel that there's much larger issues on the Dallas Stars than Jake Oettinger right now is where I'll get to. And Dallas could have helped him, I really feel, on a few of those, really the first 3 goals. Because as I mentioned, thought it was a little fluky that the Rangers had a 3-goal lead. And it wasn't like they were soft goals by any stretch, in my opinion. Like the Trocheck first one, tip, Lafreniere snipes him. That happens, and then he gets a breakaway, and he got undressed. But Lafreniere's, he's pretty talented, as you could tell. Should have had probably a hat trick in the game. Could have had 4 in the first with the way he was going. So it's sort of where I land on Oettinger. It's just hard for me to be like, oh, he's terrible. Look, he bounced back. We can give him credit. He was strong the rest of the way. He only gave up 1 after that third period, or after that first period, and it was on the power play. So you can sort of give him some grace there. And I thought he really bounced back, made some big saves. He did make some big saves down the stretch. Of course, you want him to make some more so you don't have to come back from 3. And Stars only gave up 25 shots, and giving up 4 is not great. But hey, this was a chance where the special teams got it done. Special teams bailed them out today. Special teams and just overall grit. Felt like you could classify that one as a gutsy performance for the lineup as a whole. So I thought just such a fun, massive game for Dallas, and feels like one of the biggest wins of the season for the Stars. So there you go. For the time being, they're in third place. Wild are up 5-4 on the Blues currently. I don't think Colorado plays tonight, so they'll stay in third heading into Wednesday. So there you go. Oh, just felt big. So great stuff all the way around from Dallas. And that's sort of that's it. That's it for a Wednesday edition of Locked On Stars. Let me know your observation, your opinions, and how that one felt when you were watching tonight in the comments below. Drop a like, drop a subscribe as well. We're almost getting to 3,500 subscribers. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Glad to be with you. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, uploading every single day, your team every single day. Sometimes I take a day off, okay? I'll admit, but for the most part, every single day. Okay, that'll do it. We'll be back on Thursday with a preview of the Philadelphia Flyers. We hope to have an update on Lybushkin, possibly Bichsel or Petrovich being recalled. We'll have to keep an eye on that for the next few days. But have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. Stars have won 5 in a row, baby. See you tomorrow. So long, Stars fans.